Are you too focused on what your life should look like instead of focusing on how your life actually feels? Welcome to the Search for Serotonin podcast, a podcast all about letting go of what you thought your life would look like and embracing your life for exactly what it is. Hi, I'm Carolyn, and this podcast is my audio diary where I share the struggles of being in your 20s, what going to therapy really looks like, and what it's like to live with severe high functioning anxiety, clinical depression, and perfectionism. We all battle our own demons, but we shouldn't feel alone because of it. If you feel like you're not good enough or that you're behind in life, then let's start searching for serotonin together. Welcome to the Search Committee. Hey there, beautiful humans. Welcome back to another episode of the Search for Serotonin podcast. This is your host, Carolyn Farrick, and I may sound a little funky right now, but I actually just woke up and I'm recording this fresh on Monday morning. I have been procrastinating recording and putting out an episode. If you guys saw last week, I did not put out an episode because I sat down to edit last week's episode and I was repulsed by all of it. So I decided to take a week off from podcasting, from Instagram, just a full kind of reset week just to kind of block out all of the external noise and really focus in on me and what I really want and where I really want to be putting my energy and focus and kind of how I wanted to move forward into the remainder of this year. And in my week off, I expected, peace. I expected to spend less time on my phone. I expected to kind of just have a fun self-care week doing things that I enjoyed. And at the beginning of last week, I felt great. I felt inspired. I felt productive. I found a new idea for how I want to create and how I want to process some of the feelings that I have been going through in therapy lately, and a really creative, purposeful way to passion all of that pain and anger and sadness and everything I've learned into something really, really good for me, but also something that I could potentially put out into the world and share with other people at some point. So I was really excited about that. And it involved writing. And for the longest time, if you asked me in college, I was like, I'm not a writer. I suck at writing. I'm so bad at it. But literally, that is like one of the main ways I make money is by writing stuff for people or, creating captions or writing posts or email copy, things like that. And I'm like, I write every single day, so why not, you know, use that to my advantage? And it's something I enjoy doing, something I like, even though I might not admit it all the time. So I was really excited to just kind of do some fun personal writing and less work writing. Um, and I kind of got my wish because on Tuesday of last week, I actually got let go by one of my work clients. And that was really tough for me because it like removed my financial security. Like I can pay my bills this month, but now I have to completely restructure my whole life and go back to the part of my life where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills and I got to figure it out. And it's one of the many joys of being a business owner and trying to figure this out as I go. So it's not going to be the most ideal in the next month, but I have some plans. I have some ideas on how to move forward, but that just kind of took a lot out of me last week because when it comes to financials and when it comes to like money security, that's something that gives me so much anxiety. I get so stressed. I equate my worth to how much money I'm bringing in a lot of the times. And that's really never healthy because this past year, I've struggled with money. I've struggled with my business. I've struggled to figure out where I'm going, what I'm doing, all of that. And I'll be the first to admit it. Um, but I always put so much pressure on money because I feel like I always needed to be super independent. I need to take care of myself. I can't rely on anybody else. I can't ask people for help. I can't be dependent, you know? And doing that is really difficult for me. So that kind of threw my week off, and I kind of started to not shut down after that, but I just got really tired. And I know the time changed last week and seasonal depression is creeping up. And when that happens, I tend to get like really, really tired. I tend to have less motivation. I'm sure if you guys out there struggle with seasonal depression, you kind of feel the same way. It's just a lot harder to get through the day, and it gets darker so much earlier. So, by the time the day is done, you really don't have energy. There's no light out and you really don't wanna do anything. So, I kind of really leaned into that rest aspect last week because I told myself, I'm taking a week off. Why push myself? Why try and figure it all out in, like, 2 days when I can just, take it slow, step back. Really all I focused on doing last week was getting up in the morning, going over to the park, and taking a walk. I found a new artist, from TikTok, actually. Her name is Peachka, and she's been putting out music since, like, 2020, and she does manifestation, like, positive affirmation music, but it's also very empowering to women. So, I would go and put on Peachka, and I'd walk around the park for an hour each morning, and I would just, like, basically just, like, strut around the park because this music made me feel so confident. It reminded me, of, like, my bad bitch energy, which I've been trying to get back. If you've been listening to the podcast, that's kind of where I've been going. I wanna find this confidence, this power, this, you know, self-worth almost again, and that's really where I've been focusing on a lot of my happiness coming from, is me feeling like myself again. And so I was like, let me just do that each day and then take each day as it comes, go wherever the day takes me. I'm not going to push myself. I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to scramble. I'm not going to cry. And I'm just sick of this feeling of feeling like I'm weak or I'm incapable or I'm helpless or that I don't have the answers or I can't find the answers. And while, yes, the sexual assault trauma definitely plays into how I feel about myself, I've really been thinking about it. And like, the more I focus on my mental health and the more I learn and the more I grow, the more aware of it I am. Sometimes I feel like I use that as a crutch. When I wasn't aware of my mental health and I wasn't treating it and I wasn't taking care of it, there was never a time where I was like, "Oh, I'm anxious," or, "Oh, that's my depression." And I would kind of ignore it and just power through, which again isn't healthy. But now that I'm more aware of it, I'm so aware of it and so focused on trying understanding it and figuring out and quote unquote finding all the answers because that's what I do. I need to find a solution, find all the problems, find all the answers. And I think that has kind of made me not weaker because I don't want to say that, but it's made me more aware, which sometimes has made it easier for me to just be like, oh, that's anxiety. You have to slow down, you have to do self care. And I feel like I've kind of created this, like, subconscious belief that, "Oh, it's my anxiety, so that's a weakness. I'm weak. I need to kind of shut down because I don't know how to handle this." Or, "Oh, that's a feeling of depression. Like, I need to lean into that and, like, succumb to depression, and when I'm depressed, I can't do anything. I can't care for myself. I can't find a solution." And I'm not saying my mental health is a bad thing. This learning process, is growing process, this search to find what works in my life so I can finally feel happy or stable or secure. Um, I just feel like it's made me more aware, and sometimes I play into that because I'm afraid of, you know, taking charge or doing it for myself. Or I feel like, the more I learn and the more I understand about the struggles that I face, sometimes that makes me get in my own head and say, well, you have all these challenges that you're facing. So, like, why could you be able to do it? Or why should you be able to do it? Or who do you think you are to do that kind of stuff? And like I said, I never felt that way in the past. I used to always just be like, okay, we're going to do it, we're going to get it done or whatever. And I never thought of my mental illness as a weakness. And I don't like that. Um, and I feel like I've just been in my head so much lately. I've been over analyzing everything. I've been really hard on myself. I feel like I haven't had a lot to talk about because I get so much in my head and I put myself down saying, whenever I have an idea about something and I want to talk about it or I want to share it or I think it could be helpful, I'll let the voices inside my head be like, you're not as smart as everyone else. Everyone else already knows this. Like, why would you telling people this be profound or breaking or listen worthy? Because everyone already knows this and you're behind like always. And so that kind of like mean energy that I've had in my head lately, um, I don't like it. I wanna get rid of it. And if you guys listened to the taking a break 4-minute clip that I put out last week, you might have saw that I wanted to talk about mindset, and I did do a whole episode on mindset. And as I watched it back, I feel like I wasn't giving my honest take on mindset. I was kind of just like stringing together stuff I've heard from other people. And the more I listened and the more I learned and the more I thought last week as I was going through the ups and downs of everything, um, to me, mindset, yes, is important. Mindfulness, mindset, all of that kind of stuff is important. I don't think it's the only answer to fixing mental health. But when it comes to mindset for me, I don't think it's about never having a bad thought again or, only focusing on toxic positivity. I think it's finding a way to stop the panic, the spiral, the bad thoughts, the self doubt, all of those things that pop into your head in moments of anxiety or panic or depression or whatever, instead of like leaning into those feelings, it's not about saying, oh, well, I can't think bad thoughts, so I need to nip this in the butt right here. It's about reminding yourself that you can offer yourself an alternative. Like you have the power to give yourself something else. Spiraling isn't your only choice. So, for example, you ask yourself, would it be more beneficial for me to feel all these feelings right now and go through the spiral and work myself up? Or should I go outside and take a walk? Or should I go make myself a snack? Or do I need to go take a nap? Or do I really need to get stuff done and I just need to get it out of my head and focus on this task for the next 30 minutes and then I can have my spiral or whatever it is I need to do? And it's just being aware of your body, of your thoughts, of your, feelings that you're experiencing. Like for me, a lot of the times when I start to get anxiety, my chest will tighten or my throat will kind of close up. Lately, when it has to do with like perfectionism and the need for control, I've felt like this fire, like tingling sensation running up my legs. And so those are the body responses that I'm looking for when I'm like, hold up, this is, you know, me kind of going to a place that I don't wanna be going. So, what do I need to think or offer myself as an alternative in order to not let those emotions take over? And so, like I said, it's being aware that you don't have to stay in fight or flight. You can control how you respond. And so, like this week, like I said, I had my client let me go. I cried for like an hour, but then I was like, I'm getting up. I'm gonna go put on an outfit, put on makeup, make myself feel good, make myself feel a little bit confident, even though I don't feel it right now. And I went to Starbucks, I got myself a drink, and I sat down and I was like, just do something that makes you feel good, something that you're inspired about. So I wrote. And when I sat down in the Starbucks, I spilled my Starbucks all over my laptop and it was seeping into my case, my keyboard, all of that. And it took everything in my power to not cry right in the middle of that Starbucks, just completely just lose my shit. But I just went and got napkins. I cleaned it up. I didn't let that have an effect on how I was going to proceed from there because I could have just packed up and went home and laid in the dark and cried more. But I stuck it out and I was able to write 3 pieces of stuff for my little project that I'm working on, and it made me feel like I was in control, like I had the power, like I could overcome it, and just by me tackling those feelings of anxiety and pushing past my mental breakdown, it reminded me that not only can I do that every day when I'm feeling these feelings, but I can do that in my life, like I can be upset and not be where I want to be, but that doesn't mean I have to shut down all of the time and stay small. I can figure out how to overcome it, overpower it, take back my control, feel like my life is in my hands again almost. And that's something I feel like is really important to be focusing on right now, especially with seasonal depression coming up and the holidays. And things are going to get tough. Family gatherings are never easy, holidays are never easy, but reminding yourself that ultimately you have the power. And I think I will be doing an episode on that more towards Thanksgiving, just giving some more holiday related advice. But I thought this little tidbit of mindset and reminding yourself that, hey, I can take back my power was really, really helpful and also can be applied in the holiday setting. So, like I said, I'll dive into more about that in the upcoming weeks. I didn't want to go on that tangent like I did, but I just kind of went there and I took it there naturally. So, yeah, that's what you get. That's what you guys are rocking with this morning. And let's just roll right into therapy thing. It's time for Therapy Think, a segment all about destigmatizing mental health through therapy. During this segment, I will give you a sneak peek inside of my weekly therapy sessions and share what I took away from therapy this week. This week for Therapy Think, I wanted to kind of give a different approach to therapy. So, yes, I did have my traditional therapy appointment where I met with Tina and we worked on a lot of things. And I found something that happened outside of my therapy appointment this week to be more helpful to me than therapy. And I know that might sound confusing, but it was talking to Corbin, my boyfriend, for those of you who don't know, that really helped me work through a lot of stuff and helped me kind of navigate things on my own outside of therapy. So I wanted to focus on, how we talked about some things and how we worked through some stuff because I feel like that was the defining moment of my week. That's really what got me through the week. That's what helped me keep going. And Corbin is always so supportive of me, which I love. I love him so much for that. He's always been, very supportive in everything that I do. When any issues come up, he's always right there saying, "We're going to figure it out together." Yet, when I got let go by my client, I was afraid to talk to him about it because it comes down to money. He doesn't put any emphasis on money. He's not saying, "Oh, well, you can't pay your bills next month. Like, I'm going to put you down for it, or it's your fault, or, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to fix this?" It's never, ever, ever like that. Um, but in my head, I put so much weight on money, and I'm like, if I can't pull my 50-50 weight of the money, then I'm a failure, or I'm a freeloader, or I'm helpless, and all of those negative things that I already tell myself just, like, amplify, and I didn't want that to happen, and I wanted to, talk to him about it and explain that I didn't wanna spiral this time, I didn't wanna panic, I didn't wanna run around like I always do and try and, like, do things too quickly. I wanted to just take a beat, figure out, what's going on with me, find out the best route for me moving forward instead of just like jumping to conclusions, making decisions, and just like running around blind essentially. So I always feel bad bringing up that I am struggling with money again because it's a hard time to not have money. Corbin's birthday is this week. Thanksgiving is coming up. Christmas is coming up. And the holidays, yes, as much as they're about family, they're also heavily focused on money and how much you can give and how much you can buy and how much you can, you know, do for other people. And I'm somebody that, like, when I have money, I like to spend it on other people, or I like to go out and be like, "Oh, I got this, thing that I can make for everybody," like a dish or a drink or something like that, or I just like being able to go and being like, "Oh, I bought this game so everybody can play." Like, I like spending all my money on other people so everybody can have fun, and when I can't do that or I can't get my niece like a Christmas gift, like, I feel so shitty and lousy, and that's what I love about Corbin is because he always recenters me, he always reminds me that, my money or money that I have or the money that I'm able to offer in my life doesn't bring me value. You know, he's with me because he loves me. And my family and the people that I'm going to be spending time with around the holidays love me not because of money or material things. They love me because of who I am and how I make them feel. And when I told Corbin, I was just really disappointed in myself because I wanted to give him a great birthday. I wanted to be able to take him out for a nice dinner and buy him a really cool gift and just show my appreciation for him. And I also obviously want to be able to buy everybody really nice Christmas gifts. But he said, birthday gifts and Christmas gifts don't matter. It was like, "You already do so much for me, and you don't have to worry about not having money for those things because, you know, you being there is enough, and then when you do have money, you can just get me a random gift on a random day and surprise me and say, 'Here you go.'" Because he's like, "I know you do that when you have the opportunity to." So he's like, "Don't stress about the monetary things." And when it comes to our life and how we operate and our bills and things like that, and I'm trying to be very transparent here with you guys because this is really what I'm going through. And I know sometimes it's not very, like, helpful to hear about me complain about, oh, my constant struggles in my business and having money and finding clients, but I wanted to talk about this because I feel like a lot of people, especially around the holidays and when we're going into a recession and shit's just really tight all around, that there's a lot of people out there who are putting a lot of unnecessary pressure and putting themselves down because they don't make enough or things are getting tight so they can't spend enough. And I just thought it was something people could relate to, especially around the holidays. So that's why I wanna be very transparent about, what I'm dealing with, the conversations I'm having, because if anything I'm doing can help you guys, then obviously I wanna wanna put that out there. But Corbin was like, When it comes to bills, we have always figured it out. We're always gonna figure it out.'" Me and Corbin have been together for almost 3 years now, and essentially our entire 3 years of our relationship has just been coming from struggle and lack and flying by the seat of our pants and constantly winging it. I don't think there's ever been a moment where we've genuinely felt, like, secure, but that's never stopped us. That's never prevented us from doing what we needed to do or providing for ourselves and giving ourselves enough to get by. And our relationship has never been centered on money or about how much can you bring financially. It's always been about the genuine love and connection that we share for each other. And that has been the strongest thing that we rely on. That's been the main thing that's been keeping us, like, moving forward. And everything around that just it works out one way or another. Maybe it's not the best way, maybe it's not the right way, maybe it's not the most fun way, but we still make it through. And so just having somebody there to tell me like, "Hey, yeah, this sucks. Yeah, this is shitty, but we're gonna figure it out. Even if we don't know how we're gonna figure it out, we're gonna figure it out. But for right now, I have you, you have me. We're gonna do it together. We're not alone in this." Like, just hearing that was all I needed this week. Just reminding myself that I have one solid, solid person that I can lean on completely, shamelessly, and fully transparent, and I'm not gonna be judged, shamed, or looked at differently because of it. And so, another thing I wanted to mention about the holidays is, just remembering that you have your support people, and things are going to get hard and things are going to get shitty. But remembering that there are people who love you no matter what and are there to support you, that you can open up to them and share these burdens with them. And it's okay to speak up. It's okay to be a little reliant. It's okay to need some extra help. It's okay to remember that sometimes you can't do it alone because none of us can. And so just finding that one or two few people, handful of people that you can be fully yourself with and maybe let go of some of that anxiety, some of that stress, some of that negativity, and just really lean into the connections, being around other people, letting other people support you fully and supporting them fully is also very important, giving them the same energy that you want them to give you. So our final segment of the week is Serotonin Script. This segment is all about filling your weekly prescription of serotonin. I will share what sparked serotonin in my life this week to hopefully inspire you to find your own version of happiness. If you want to share how you searched for your weekly dose of serotonin, then DM at the Search for Serotonin on Instagram to be featured on next week's segment of Serotonin Script. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap up this episode with serotonin script. And this week, my source of serotonin genuinely comes from the rebrand of this podcast. And I bet you guys are sitting here wondering, when is she going to talk about it? When is she going to bring it up? Because the colors are different, the fonts are different, things are different. What the heck is going on? And I've actually been wanting to make this change brand-wise for probably a couple months now. I stumbled upon this color palette a while ago, and I loved the colors. They really felt authentic to me. They felt very on brand for who I am as a person and what I was trying to convey. I went with the green, I went with the pink, I went with the yellow because I feel like those are colors I'm drawn to. Those are colors that make me feel happy. Those are colors that embody me as a person. So I hope you guys like the new brand colors. I hope you guys see them and remember, hey, like, she did this because this makes her feel good. And I hope it's just a little reminder to everybody out there that, it doesn't have to make sense to everybody else. It doesn't have to look good to everybody else. What you're doing doesn't have to feel right for anybody but you. So take it, own it, and find your own greens and pinks in your life. I don't know, you guys. I don't have a lot to offer. It's Monday morning. I'm tired. I am just trying to do this because if I didn't sit down and do something, then I would have procrastinated and probably never put out another episode ever again. So I wasn't cohesive this episode. I really probably didn't make a lot of sense. My voice sounds kind of crappy, but I'm showing up and I'm glad you guys are showing up. Sometimes I feel like my sources of serotonin aren't always relatable to everybody, I guess I'll say that. Like, sometimes I feel like I try and make them too complex for the sake of the podcast. So, I wanna hear how you guys are finding serotonin in your everyday lives. Tell me what's bringing you joy, what's working for you, what's making you happy. Go ahead and DM at the Search for Serotonin on Instagram and share your weekly source of serotonin so I can share it on the podcast next week and give you a little feature, give you a little shout out so people can go check you out as well. And we can all continue to learn from each other how to go about bringing about happiness in our own everyday lives. All right, you guys, that's it for this week. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And I will see you back here next Monday for another episode of the Search for Serotonin podcast. I hope you guys take care of yourselves. I hope you guys do what you need to start fighting seasonal depression. Oh, something I forgot to tell you guys. I started taking probiotics, specifically ones for digestive and mood care. So that is something I've already started doing to help prepare for the seasonal depression and the darkness that's about to come. If you guys need some ways on how you can start preparing for seasonal depression and boosting serotonin in your lives, even when it is dark and crappy out, go head over to at the Search for Serotonin on Instagram and download my free serotonin boost checklist. It's a list of my top 10 favorite ways to find serotonin in my life every day. So go grab your free copy of that so you can have that on hand. So when you're struggling or you need an extra boost of energy, serotonin, happiness, whatever it may be, you can just pull out that list and grab something really quick. All right, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Monday, and I'll see you back here next week. Always remember this world is better with you in it.